We are John and Ellie, the Barefoot Doctors. Join us on this new chapter on our brand new Leopard 45 catamaran as we unearth the jewels of the Med. And the world. Because life is better barefoot.
Here we are sailing down the west coast of Italy, and we're down near the Bay of Naples on the island of Ischia. Last week we went into the Aragonese castle, and we make our way along the south coast to Sant Angelo.
We're also very excited because on Ischia there are thermal springs, and we're hoping to go and test or explore some thermal springs on the island of Ischia. So that should be exciting too.
We have arrived in the island of Ischia, and we are surrounded by volcanoes. And where you see volcanoes, you often see hot thermal spas. So that's what we're trekking up the hill for at the moment. So there's hot springs around this area. So the first one we've got to, we just anchored like 200 meters off the beach, and we've just walked through this little crevasse. And it's all filled with all natural mud and all these amazing elements that they use in the mud treatments here at the spa. So come with us because we're going to go and check it out. But they're natural as you possibly can have. No bling, no glitter, no glamour. It's right back to grassroots. So I'm pretty excited about that. Let's go and see an authentic spa. From the thermal springs coming down here, and it goes all the way out to the ocean.
And uphill.
All the good things are uphill, remember? We finally arrived. This little place, Thermal Cascura, is the place we are, and it's where the spa is. So they've actually harnessed the thermal water and trickling it into thermal baths and steam huts and all sorts of things. So I'm out of breath, but it's pretty exciting. So come on in. Actually, if you want to just go in and have a look, it'll cost you €2 just to have a look around. And then if you want to participate in something, it'll cost you anything from 25 to 30 or 40 euros. So that's to have an entire mud bath treatment and soak in the bath. Anyway, let's go in and have a look. This is where you can have a massage in here. Who you found? So this is the sauce.
Wow, kind of cold and hot.
Wow, I'm getting cool. There's something really cold coming through.
Yeah. So we've just come out of the shower with the hot and cold rinse, and we're a little bit on the pink side, but our skin feels good, doesn't it? Yeah, feels really good. So we're just waiting to have our mud application now, and yeah, feeling relaxed and chilled and
Cooling down.
Cooling down. Not worrying about the boat swinging off the pick somewhere out there. We're just relaxing. So why is it that we get excited around hot thermal pools? Because this is Mother Nature's purest elixir. Simply by bathing in the spring water, you strengthen your immune system. It reduces tissue inflammation and arthritis. It's also been known to cure respiratory disease and asthma allergies. It's fantastic for the skin and helps heal rashes and skin inflammation, and has also been known to help with hair growth. So if you guys get close enough to thermal springs, do yourself a favour and go for a swim. Some idea, this morning there was only 2 boats in this anchorage with us and another boat that was probably about 300 meters from us. And now, this is how many is. It's mainly day trippers, of course, and it's the weekend. So this is Saturday here. So they just keep coming in. Hi guys, welcome to another session of
What's Up, Duck? Okay, so today we're going to talk about nosebleeds because we actually had the experience of a guy on a beach that was having a nosebleed.
The mother and the lifeguard were
both
doing
doing
the
all,
wrong
all
thing.
the wrong thing.
And we were watching, sitting,
were-
having our meals, and
And I just couldn't bear it, so I went down
Barefoot doctor went down.
and helped him out. The 2 most common myths about what to do with nosebleeds, one is put your head back, you need to put your head forward, and the other thing people tend to do for some reason, I have no idea why, but they tend to press the nose up here where there's the bone, but that's not going to do anything, the bleeding's on the inside. You have to press the soft part of your nose. If you feel where the bone is, you then have like about there, below that is all soft. Pinch your whole finger over that soft part and squeeze, and I'm pressing the whole area from the tip of my nose right back to my cheek. Pinch the nose and have them sitting forward. Now, the reason you have the heads forward is that if there is any welling of blood behind where your finger is, that will sit there and form a blood clot. If you lean your head back, true, the blood will then flow down the back of the throat, but you don't want it to flow down the back of your throat. You want it to sit there and you want it to clot. And the other thing is, if you have it sitting forward, the blood can fall on the floor and doesn't ruin your clothes.
Okay, so how long do you pinch for, you might ask?
Okay, so what I usually recommend for people to do is to look at their watch, because when you're holding your nose, the other common error people do is they pinch their nose for about 30 seconds or a minute. They say, I wonder if it's stopped bleeding, so they take their... and then of course it all just starts bleeding again. So I tell people, pinch it, look at your watch and do it for 5 minutes. When you are pinching your nose for 5 minutes, it feels like hours.
Time.
This guy on the beach, he did it for 5 minutes, stopped, and the bleeding had cured.
And the crowd went wild.
Okay, so if after 5 minutes you still get some bleeding, then you'd do it for another 5 minutes. At the end of the day, the pressure will stop the bleeding, the blood has to clot, and then the problem will be solved. So it's a matter of time and patience, nothing too fancy. Obviously, in medical practice, we can shove things up the nose to apply the pressure, but that's not really practical for you to do yourself.
Can you adopt the correct position for nosebleed?
So that's a comfortable position to be in. You can have elbows on knees, leaning forward, the blood falls on the ground, and you just pinch your nose and look at the time. And that way you will solve the problem.
So what about some do's and don'ts?
Okay, so after your nose has stopped bleeding, you should be quite gentle with it. Try not to sneeze or blow your nose vigorously. Just gently wipe it if there's any irritation. And I suppose I'd like to talk about why you get nosebleeds. There are 4 arteries that all lead and join to one place just inside the nostril, just in there. So when you do have a nosebleed, it's usually this tip in there that's bleeding. And if you have repeated nosebleeds, what you can do is go to see a doctor, and they can just, usually GPs have this little silver nitrate stick, which they go zzz, it doesn't make any noise, but it burns the little arteries on the inside of the nose and then seals the skin so that the arteries don't bleed again. So that's a very simple, cheap, quick way to cure it if you have repeated nosebleeds. What are you cackling at?
That's good, that's good.
So now the other thing just to be aware of is when you do have a nosebleed, pay attention to which nostril is bleeding, because sometimes all your bleeding occurs from one nostril and sometimes it occurs from both nostrils. Because if you do need to treat it later on, the doctor will need to know which nostril it is or if it's both.
So we hope you've enjoyed this segment on how to treat a nosebleed. Back to the video. So the thing about pulling into a new little village is you just never know what it looks like, what it's going to look like, or what it has. Everyone is unique, and some are really pretty and others aren't so pretty. Some are really well kept and others have kind of fallen into rack and ruin. Yeah, this is a pretty one.
Sant Angelo.
I love when they have plenty of flowers in pot plants and lots of greenery. But it just makes it feel opulent and lush. So there's the little beach right there.
On this side of it.
There's another one over this side. And of course, always the umbrellas that go with it. So you can reserve your spot for anything around 20 euros. John and I find, because we come from Australia and we spend so much time in the sun anyway, that's kind of the last thing that we would do. We tend to escape to the shade as much as possible. But the Europeans just love it. This is before 10 o'clock in the morning and people are already out swimming before the sun gets too hot. Very sensible. Such sweet little streets. The beach clubs that are all along the coast in the Mediterranean with their umbrellas, their deck chairs, and also very close to bars. The Italian men really know how to dress. They are very suave. They have their little hats and their little trim shirts and their nice pants. And they're all fairly trim, actually. They're all fairly fit looking, but they're actually quite toned, quite fit, and they look gorgeous in their little
Numbers.
Armed with our produce, we go back to expedition Barefoot. And we say goodbye to another gorgeous little village, Sant Angelo, and we go on to our next adventure. What did you think?
It's a lovely little town actually. I'm glad we came in.
A couple of miles past Sant Angelo at a bay called Sorgenti, there is thermal water that is running into the sea, which is free to access and available to everyone. Huge boulders around the outflow traps the hot water, so you can sit in any temperature from boiling hot to lukewarm. Again, these thermal waters have the reputation for significant healing properties, so are a very popular destination.
So what's just happened?
We were swimming in the hot springs in the beach with the GoPro, and as we're coming back over the rocks and swimming through the water, it was quite tumbly and you have to pull yourself up over rocks. I hand Elizabeth the GoPro
Just like that.
like that, and there was no GoPro, so somewhere in the hot springs at Sorgenti is our GoPro. We looked for it with goggles for some time.
And all our great footage from the last week.
Yep. So we're having a cup of tea because things are always better after a cup of tea. And then we'll go and have another look when we've settled down a bit. And we've looked at in the areas where we were swimming, but it's really hard to see, partly because the water's a bit murky, but also because they're big boulders and there's big gaps between them.
And that's just the ladies' bottoms. See, we can still get a smile out of him. We're swimming around all these boulders and these big bottom ladies with little G-strings on, and sometimes we just had to get way too close for comfort looking for this GoPro. But I had to take it for the team because I had to get closer than John, so someone has to do it.
Anyway, we're
going to go back again after we've had a cup of tea. Like John said, regroup and go back. And hopefully the shadows will be in a slightly different place, so we might see a sparkly thing in the water and go, there it is!
Hooray!
Hurrah! Well guys, after searching for hours, we just had to call it a day. We didn't find our GoPro. Seems like Poseidon claimed another precious treasure. Losing our GoPro is hard enough, but losing all the awesome footage that we'd taken over weeks was hard to swallow, as well as an SD card worth $150. But you know, that's just the risk that we take and all our fellow bloggers and YouTubers take. It's a risky activity, especially around water. And sometimes it's not a case of if you're going to lose some camera equipment, it's a case of when. At the end of the day, hopefully someone that really needs it will find our GoPro quickly before it starts corroding. And like us, when we find something, consider it a gift from the gods. John to the rescue. The kids can't start the engine. So it might be out of petrol, could be anything not strong enough. Captain John saves the day.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Prego! Prego!
I love you.
My hero! There they go! Back to the boat. So this guy is being right round the point with his dogs. This is taking his dogs for a swim. These are dog-loving people. So thanks for watching guys. We hope you've liked this video, and if you really have and you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe and then like and then tick the notification button so that you get notified when there's a new video out. So thanks very much, and we'd love to see you next time. We have arrived in the island of Ischia, and
Ischia.
we have arrived in the island of Ischia.